How you doing, Damp? Sam here. Today we're at the National Coal Mining Museum, and this is a really interesting survey, and this is why I'm filming it. So we were contacted by the management at the National Coal Mining Museum, and the instruction that they sent through, they asked me to if I'd damp proof the mine, which that made me laugh a bit, but they obviously they didn't know the difference between damp proofing and waterproofing, but it caught my attention, damp proofing a mine, and I thought, well, I'll answer them back and just find out what it is they're wanting. So it does sound a bit strange, damp proofing or waterproofing a mine, and I have been here, but it was 25 years ago. I think I came in 2000 with one of my many birds. Anyway, I know that it's a really humid, damp environment, and what they're after is they're wanting a better user experience. So in my initial thoughts is to put, I'll just explain the difference between damp proofing and waterproofing. So damp proofing is normally above ground, when you've got rising damp, penetrating damp, things like that, and it's a damp proof system. So it will allow water vapor to come through the whichever system you're going to put on. So it'll allow a wall to dry out and that water vapor to evaporate out. Now, a waterproof system is to stop any lateral dampness or dampness from earth retaining walls, and it's normally on properties below ground. This is below ground, and it's well below ground. So we're going to have to look at basically a system that's in accordance with BS 8102, which is the British standard for below ground structures or below ground buildings. And I got instructed sort of a couple of months ago, so I've been thinking about this and doing some sketches, but we've not actually been down to have a look at it, because we've had to, they can only have a certain window, and we've had to come before it opens, and that's when we're going to go down now. But I've been thinking about it for a while, and what I'm considering is, because it's got a drainage system in the floor that goes to a sump and a pump, and we're on about putting a type A system on the actual walls, which we use a product called NATS M35, which is a pre-mixed render, but it's totally waterproof, and they use this render in the underground in London. So whenever they need to patch stuff up, because it sets really quickly, it sets in about 20 minutes, they can use this, and it's not hanging about. So you've got like hydrostatic pressure coming from on your walls. Then if you use this type A system, it'll set quickly, and that works a lot better than a normal render and a spray. So this is my thought. We'll use something like that on the walls, which will stop any lateral moisture coming through and hydrostatic pressure. And then on top of that, or we'll put like we're going to put an independent. Well, on top of that, you've got your cavity drainage membrane, which will be fixed into wall, and then any ingress will stay behind it, or any water that comes in will stay behind it, will drop down, and then it'll drop into where you've got your sump and your pump, and that'll be taken away. So inside is going to be really dry. My thoughts then is to put a timber stud wall or a metal stud in, depending on what can be allowed. So we can either have treated timber, pressure treated timber, or independent metal stud in, and then insulated plasterboards. We're thinking of putting a window in then, so there's going to be a window for customers to see what's behind it and to have a look at the coal. And then on the actual boardwork, which would be treated marine ply, we're on about having a 3D scan of the walls as they are in situ. So they're going to, the company that comes, and then they'll scan it in 3D. So they take a moving scan, and then they take pictures, and then a 2D scan, which builds up to what is behind it, and then that exact picture is going to be put on the front. So when they come down, it does look as if they are in a mine. And if they want to look through a window and see coal face behind, they can see coal face behind. So this is what we've got in mind. But we just need to go down, have a look, check environment, and then just see whether it will be compatible. And then obviously look at pricing and things like that. So that's the idea. And yeah, so on next slides, we should be down pit and having a look. So I just thought it'd be really interesting for you to see us go down, and it'll be a bit of content. And like I say, I've not been down pit for 25 years. My dad was a miner, and he was a deputy, and what he did was he specialised in pumps, sumps and pumps, and that's what we do. If we're converting a cellar, we put drainage systems in, which is in accordance with British Standard BS 8102 2022. So next time you see us, we're going to be in here, and we're going to be miners, and we're going to be down pit. And all I'll say is, if you ever get a chance to come here, it's a lovely place. Just scan around here. So you've got kids' playgrounds, you've got a paddy train here, just come around here. So you've got a paddy train what they can go on, which is what miners used to go down pit on if it were a drift mine. And this actually was an actual working mine at one point called Caphouse colliery, and it closed. I don't know what year it was, probably sometime in the 80s, and then were turned into a museum, one of the only museums that there is in England, and probably best museum actually. They've got, you know, cafe, visitor centre, and it's getting bigger and better as years go on. And in just this little bit here, you've got winding gear just behind us, but you know, all buildings and everything stretch right out there, and it has got actual miners, working miners that they used to be in pit, and they're still doing that now. So next time you see us, we're going to be down there seeing it dark.
You have to get Alan. I'll get Alan up. Yeah. Are you?
So further on to what we've been doing,
where you're stressing him
just
out.
coming in to go down, just do this survey. We're in lift shaft now, and when we get into bottom, we're just going to have a look what's happening and just see lay of land. So see when we get to the bottom.
Light on.
Now.
All off.
Right, whenever you're ready.
Right then, Sam, this is what we want you to have a look at. This is our furnace shaft, and I think it is a bit damp, like, if you'll have a look for us.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I might need to put your brolly up in here.
Let me stick this up then.
Right, that's it.
And this is where we can see right at the top, innit?
Yeah, you can see it up to the top. This is furnace shaft. Like I say, it is a bit damp, so you just have to have a look, Sam. You got some water in high?
Yeah.
Yeah, just have a look at that then.
Absolutely wet through. And is there some water coming through wall as well as coming down shaft?
Yeah, it seeps in further up. We've got garlands which collect the water in various places in shaft, and then we funnel the water down the shaft in these pipes here. I'll shine the light onto the bottom of here.
Right.
And then this water runs away into our sump, and then we have to pump all the water out.
These are engineering bricks, aren't they?
Yeah.
Dense,
Yeah. So in a lot of coal mines, they also had brick yards as well. So once they're mining coal, they'd also mine clay out and then make bricks as well.
Brilliant, brilliant. Great stuff. How far am I? So, Damp Sam, we've been asked, as you've seen on film before, we've been asked to come and have a look at damp proofing this mine. And it's the area where the people are going to be walking in and out, so it's to make the user experience a bit better. Now, management kind of got the words wrong, as I said before, between damp proofing and waterproofing. So this would be more of a waterproofing job. And it is quite wet, but as Russ was saying earlier on, that there's pumps underneath here, and they're taking, how many is it, Russ, a million?
Between 1 million and 3 million gallons of water every day.
Yeah. So obviously they contacted me a month ago, and I've been thinking how to do it. This is the first visit I've done here. So what we're thinking is, NatSem, I've got a product called NatSem 35, and what they do with that is, it's sprayed onto walls, and they use it in underground in London, and it sets within 20 minutes. So that's a type A system. So the idea is to spray these walls with a type A system, and according to BS 8102, you have to use two systems. So the second system is going to be a membrane, so it's going to be a cavity drainage membrane on top. And then the idea is that to make the user experience better, what we've thought about doing is cladding these walls out and putting a marine ply on, but leaving a small area where we can see with some glass in, so the customers can come, stand on it and see these brick walls and see coal and everything. And it's going to be like it was before. So one of the things that we can do as well is we can get a 3D image printed. So they'll come and they'll scan all these walls, and they do it in a 3D and then a 2D. And then once we get the boardwork up, we'll print exactly what's in here, and that gets put actually onto the marine ply. There's a few videos on YouTube. There's a guy that's already done it. He's dug his own basement, and that is what I'm thinking about doing. In this place, so it's just measuring everything up and then working out, a price that's going to be acceptable for them. But because of how watered it is, I think that's going to be the only way to do it. It's quite a humid environment. We took some readings earlier on. You're looking around about 98%, relative humidity. So that's idea. So we're going to have a measure up, and then once we've measured up, we'll get some drawings done, and hopefully they're thinking about starting it just after summer season. So it'll be around about September time. So that's Dan Sam signing off. We'll probably show you a bit more down here. Let us know what you think in comments. If you think it's going to be a good idea. Because last thing you want is your kids being freezing cold coming down, a place like this. You want it like a museum, and I think that's what management. That's what they're after. So that's Dan Sam signing off. See you in a bit.
Right.
So I'll just get this bit measured up, and then we can. This is A roller cavity drainage membrane is around about 2.8, so that's 1. And ceiling and marine ply 2,400. It's just about getting. I think what we'd have to do is just make sure that we get some kind of membrane onto here and to allow to be able to see that. So there might be a glass window on here as well. Yeah, that's fine. So we're just going to turn these pumps on and that. These are pumps that gets rid of hot water. So obviously cavity drainage system's going to be damp wall. So any water and ingress that comes at back of it is going to go into drains and then into this.
We call it a sump. So it's where we collect all our water, and then we use this monopump to pump the water out of the sump, out at to top end of site to open, then it gets pumped out at mine from up there. So I can start pump off.
Yeah, if you would.
See what it.
And that's basically how when we retrofit a basement. That's how it works. You put your drainage system in, and then any water that comes in is pumped straight out, and it keeps that environment dry. So we were going to. It's going to be a bit noisy, this, I think.
It might not come on because it floats.
I can hear something.
It won't come on. It's not going to come on.
Right. So we've decided not to put we've decided not to put this machine on, but you get the gist anyway. It's a big old machine, and they're a bit bigger than what we fit when we do a retrofit one that Delta make. So I think we're going to wrap it up here. That's Damp Sam in mine. I've got to go back to office, sit down, and then do some calculations, and then get it to management at mine. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll be a decent job for us. See you later. So we've just been down mine. I thought I'll just mind to explain what happened with pump. So pump is, you've got like a big sump chamber, and it's got float switches in it. So float switches will automatically activate that pump if water gets to, when water gets to a certain level. And they'd emptied it this morning, so they had it on, and when they get down there, they empty it. So that's why it won't kick in, because the pump had already done its business and were really low. But all in all, it was interesting to go down. It's not something that you get every day. Come and actually price the job up in an actual working mine. It's going to be challenging to design a system that's going to work for this actual museum. But I'll be consulting some people that I work with, Mike Vernon at Delta, and talking to people at NatSem who will sit down together and we'll design a system that's going to be great, and it's going to create a better environment for visitors to be in, rather than a wet. You saw how wet it was. So rather than a wet, damp environment, they need some. These days we're in 2025, and we need safe, warm, dry, usable spaces. So that's Damp Sam. Look on dampsam.com if you want to check out our other stuff. I'm on YouTube, and fingers crossed, once we get this job, we'll film all work being done. See you later.